I visited our local Helping Hands thrift store yesterday and came away with some wallpaper. It was on sale for $2 a roll, and I have enough of the 5 that I picked to last forever. But anyway, I took the end of the roll. You can see where the masking tape was stained. It was torn a little bit. And I thought I'd just play. So I glued it into a mixed media journal with matte medium. And then I took the top third of the page, I put clear gesso on it. The middle third of the page, I put matte medium on it. And the bottom third, I left alone because I wanted to see which, if I could figure out which one was best to paint over. So I started with watercolor, and this is where we'll start. Okay, second time's a charm. If I would pay attention to the computer and the software instead of the painting, but it's very difficult for me to do both. I'm using burr number here and watercolor, measuring a little bit. I'm using my iPad with a photo on it for reference. I don't have any problem doing that when it's for artwork that I'm not going to sell. And I'm not really striving to get a perfect likeness either. I'm just in general looking. I select my resource photos based on lighting. Natural light is the best. Any kind of model work that's been done with the soft subdued lights tend to minimize the dark shadows that I like to have in my paintings. So natural light is, or Rembrandt light is typically what it's called. This wallpaper is awesome. It's a white screen print on a silkish fabric. I glued this down with matte medium, and the upper third was clear gesso coated, and the middle third was coated with matte medium, and the bottom third was left plain. And you can see how the color absorbs into the fabric. Here I'm placing the ears, and if you take the end of your brush and angle from the corner of the eye to where the ear connects at the top, and then hold it steady and pull that brush straight down, you'll have the same angle from the edge of the nose at the bottom to the bottom of the ear where it attaches. The ears are critical to the illusion of the tilt of the head. Keeping the eyes and the features very general at this point, because as they dry you can always come back in and modify them a little bit. That's why it's nice to work with shadow shapes rather than line art like illustrators do. And there's no right or wrong, it's just difference in style. And it's an awful lot darker where the wallpaper is uncoated. I came in with a middle tone of the burnt umber and gradually add some darker tones to it as I get more confident that my drawing is close. When you're doing a head that's tilted at this angle, both up and to the side, your brain will always try to straighten those features. That's how you get a face that looks a little wonky, where the eyes are on a slant and the mouth is horizontal, and you end up with a pretty wonky thing. So just be aware that you have a tendency to want to straighten those features out. And if you're aware of it, sometimes you can halt it. I kind of got that. My mouth is trying to straighten up a little bit. It's closer to the eyeball on the right hand side than on the left hand side. But like I said, I'm a perpetual student, so practice, practice, practice. Which I'm doing now thanks to art journaling. not getting in a real big hurry. And as long as you ease up on those darks, you can restate your drawing almost at any point. Now I'm coming in with just a little Payne's Gray. I don't have that on any of my palettes, but kind of like the blue cast of it. And then it was in that palette that I took to South Africa, so I'm using it. Another real pretty color combination is burnt umber or raw sienna with ultramarine blue. It makes a good rich dark. And in a lot of cases you can quit with that. You don't have to put color on. The right side of my face has narrowed somewhat, and hopefully I'll see that and fix it. I'm blotting a little as I go, just because I can. It does seem to pick up real easy. The paint picks up real easy in that matte medium middle section. Coming in with a real watered down cad red. Being very cautious with it. And the green is underneath it. It's almost a cinnabar green. Red and green make gray, so that's why that color's tending to gray out on us. But I'm going to ease up to the cad red once I kind of get an idea of what it's going to do. A little bit darker down there, and then that's the area that it soaks in so quickly. And see how the right eye is narrower than the left eye, and that's so easy to fix when you haven't committed to it. A little bit more pigment in that water now. After every time you put an overall layer on, you need to come back in and restate the darks. Gold ochre, yellow ochre. This is a darker one, a darker version in this palette than what I usually use. I usually use a yellow ochre light, so I've just tried to water that down. Didn't have near enough red underneath there for that to work, but we're glazing, so you can always come back in with more. Here's the titanium buff. Pretty handy color. I'm going to keep that on my palette for sure. Using that to come back in and pull some highlights. Putting a little bit more pink back in it, which it is by the time you put the cad red in with that creamy color. And don't do like I do and just dibble with paint on your palette. Go ahead and put some serious puddles out. You'll save yourself a lot of angst. This is where it kind of starts looking like a man. You can see here how much of it wipes out. Almost takes it back to the green. And probably if I'd let it dry real good, it wouldn't have pulled so much. The light in this case is called Rembrandt lighting, and it's natural. That's why you get such dark cast shadows, and the receding planes are so dark. This is a favorite of portrait painters. You've got to have the shadows, and the only way to get those shadows is with exaggerated light. So portrait photographers using light boxes and all that bounce light minimize the shadows. Does that make sense? The old masters didn't have artificial lighting, so they had to use the light from a window. That's why those paintings have the deep dark shadows, which are so intriguing and mysterious. So when you snap your grandkids and you think you might want to use them for a source photo down the road, make sure you turn your flash off and only have one light source, and you'll get some real good photographs to work from. Flash is evil. The only light I'm using and the only acrylic I'm using is the titanium buff. It's reminded me of an old sepia photo that's been hand tinted. Not spending a whole lot of time on the chest. Sorry, that's out of camera, but I didn't see me come in and put the green on, but I see it's there now. I must have missed it when I was talking. That green is a magic color for making things turn back into the shadows. Her nose looks a little pinched and aristocratic, so I hope I fix that. Yeah, beginning to there. I'm not outlining the mouth, I'm just adding in little drops and suggestions of the dark. Oop, there we just blotted it all off again. So the matte medium is probably not the way to go. Hope y'all don't mind the silence. I think I'm allergic to music that plays, and more times than not it's repeated over and over and over, and that tends to get on my nerves. So forgive me for the silence. Using a number 8 brush throughout. If you switch to anything smaller than that, you have a tendency to get very niggledy. Once you put those highlights in the eyes, they come to life. There's a bubble in the paper. This is a Canson multimedia pad from Walmart, so it's not the best paper in the world, but you know what? When this all dries up, that page will flatten right on out. As long as you're I forgot what I was going to say. Senior moments are wonderful. Eyelashes aren't lines, they're just little chunks. Not quite as much chunk as I have right there, but Again, the eyes aren't outlined. That's more of an illustration style. There you have it.